and welcome to Rebuilding Careers. My name is Bonni Pomush, and it is my honor to serve as the CEO of Working Wardrobes. I am joined today by Stephanie Klopfenstein.
Hi.
Hello, our council member in Garden Grove, and we are so looking forward to hearing more about you and your experiences, Stephanie. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much. This is a wonderful opportunity. I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, I am always humbled and awed when I hear people's stories of really where did they begin? Where did life start for them? And I think there's a bit of a misnomer that, people in positions of leadership and positions of power, that there was always an easy street that they were born on.
Right.
So I would love to hear whatever you are, willing and able to share with us about how'd you grow up? What were your beginnings like?
Yeah, absolutely. I am a fourth generation Garden Grove resident. So my family came to Garden Grove, if you can believe it, in the 1800s.
Wow.
Yes. So we have a very long, deeply rooted history in Garden Grove. We have five generations of women born in Garden Grove.
It's amazing.
Yes.
This is also I can't help but build the parallel. There are five generations for the first time working together in the workforce. That is
Yeah.
mind blowing.
So, it's really been very special to me. It definitely made it so that I couldn't get away with anything as a kid because everybody knew
Everybody
somebody that
knows.
knew my whole entire family. So there wasn't any ditching school in high school or anything like that. I had to pretty much keep it together.
Yeah.
But it definitely, I think having those deep roots and having that connection in my local community and seeing what my family put in and the worth that they gave our community and volunteering and so forth, it's definitely shaped me and who I am today. Absolutely.
And not many people have that experience of the accountability in relationships.
So true.
Many of us are transplants from different states,
Yes.
different cities, and
Yeah.
all of that. So that's an incredibly large extended family that you have.
Very much so. Yeah.
And the other piece is you must have such an appreciation of evolution. Having, seen, and I'm sure you've heard stories from, your parents and your grandparents and your great grandparents' eyes and how they have seen the community grow and evolve over time.
And it really has. I mean,
Mhm.
it definitely has been interesting to see it. Sometimes I have to remind myself to sort of take off those rose-colored glasses,
Mhm.
right, and
Mhm.
really make sure that I'm looking at the community from a logical perspective, and also seeing it through other people's eyes and the way that they look at the community. I definitely take it as a big responsibility for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
It most certainly is.
Yeah.
Um, there's a point in time where you entered the workforce,
Yeah.
and obviously at Working Wardrobes, we are all about employment and workforce and
Yeah.
preparing our community members to thrive in life through contributing our skills, our attributes in the marketplace. So I would love to hear, what's your first paycheck story? How did you first make money?
Oh my goodness. My first paycheck story is really a simple one. Got out of high school, and I didn't take the traditional path of high school straight into college. That
Mhm.
came later in my life. I got out of high school and went straight into just career paths and trying to find myself and figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I wasn't one of those people that had that clear vision that, oh, I'm going to be a teacher from day one in elementary school and work towards that goal. I'd like to do so many different things. And so it was sort of when I got out of high school, was like, the sky's the limit. I'm going to try everything. And my first jobs, oddly enough, were I was a waitress. That was
Mhm.
my first
Mhm.
paycheck, which I think honestly are skills everybody should have because you'll never be without a job if you can wait a table. And so that was really the beginnings for me, was working very hard. Those are hard jobs.
Very much.
Talk about a service job. That is very hard. And I did that on and off for quite a while. And then, oddly enough, and this is in life where I think things can get really interesting.
Okay.
You're on one path and you're not really sure where you're headed. And then somehow or other, you wind up in what would end up being my career for quite a long time, which is radio broadcasting.
Mhm.
That came out of serving tables and helping people, and somehow just through these random connections wound up in what would end up, yeah, being one of my greatest career paths. So it's life. You never know what curveballs they're going to throw, but you got to be
Right.
open to it.
Yeah. That is exactly it. You just never
Never
know.
know.
So tell me a little bit about maybe I'm honing in on the part about being a server and what you were saying is hard. And when I think about what's hard, I think about the balance between customer interaction and creating a just a hospitable, loving environment, and balancing that with, the you got to get the stuff to the people in the sequence at the right time, and all of that depends on a whole, constellation of other things.
Yep.
So What were some of the things that you learned? What were some of the ways that you uniquely contribute your skills?
Well, I think I learned that I love people. I love
Mm,
being around
yeah,
people, and I
yeah.
definitely have a heart for service. And I think
Um,
that speaks to where I'm
yeah,
at currently
yeah.
in my this station in my life.
Uh-huh.
It's building relationships,
Mm,
and balance is crucial. And
mm,
balance is hard, I think, for females
mm.
because we wear so many different
Yeah,
hats
yeah,
all the time. And so
that's true.
trying to figure out how to wear those hats and also not forget about ourselves within all of that,
Ooh,
right?
yeah.
Because that's something, whether you're waiting tables full time or you're working in whatever that career path might be, or now, obviously, myself as an elected leader in the community, we try to be all things to all people.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but we also can't forget about ourselves.
Yeah.
Who am I at the end of the day, and what's
Yeah.
important to me, and am I
Mhm.
taking care of myself?
Oh, Stephanie, this is a constant for me, I don't want to say struggle, but it's a constant challenge. And I know it's a trite at this point, but I always go back to, the airplane instructions about putting on
True.
your mask first. And this is not my reaction. That is
Hmm.
a response that I'm trying to train myself to make sure
Yeah,
to take care of myself, because I know that if I don't show up as my best self, that's not good for anyone. But
very
yet
true.
it's so hard to prioritize and to say yes to me means sometimes I have to say no to something else, and that is not easy either.
Yeah, and it's the progression through life of when you begin those careers. A lot of times, I wasn't married yet. I
Mhm.
didn't have my child yet. So then it's figuring out that balance, and it changes through the years, your perspective, the way that you're operating, the hats that you're wearing, through being a single female to being married to then
Yeah.
having a family.
Yeah.
And the hats just kind of keep keep stacking on
Yeah.
themselves.
And how many are you wearing at the
And
same
how
time?
many are you juggling at one time, which
Yeah.
tends to be quite a few. And we're honest, as women, we're champion multitaskers. We really are.
Yeah.
We are able to keep a lot of balls up in the air,
Yeah.
juggling all the
Yeah.
time, and we do a
Yeah.
fantastic job at it. But
Oh,
again, we have to bring it back down to
mhm.
ourselves. And it's not
Yeah.
selfish to put ourselves first sometimes.
Mm.
And I have to remind myself of that all the time.
Oh, amen to
Yeah.
that. You mentioned the ball juggling, and someone recently shared this with me. Like the euphemism is also like to have so many plates spinning.
The same, yeah.
And I heard this for the first time, and it just keeps resonating as you're saying it again. It's hitting me again, like as if I'm hearing it for the first time. And what she said to me was that it's not just that you've got all the plates spinning, it's also that you have to know which ones are made out of porcelain, which ones are made out of rubber, which ones are made out of plastic. In other words, right? Which priorities, if I drop, is it going to be okay? And if I don't drop, right, that it's going to be
Yes.
protected. It is
Yes.
definitely a balancing act. So you mentioned a few pieces of the hats you wear, the
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
How would you say, you really honed in on this? I discovered that I want to be of service. I discovered that relationships are really important. How then, on the flip side, are you bringing uniquely your skills, your way of contributing in the world into the marketplace?
I think my skill set, I'm a type A personality. I'll just put it up. I am. And I'm very driven and very focused person. When I have a passion, I'm going all the way. And I enjoy public speaking. Obviously, I went into broadcasting. And so I think that I've tried to be a bridge builder.
Mm,
I love to get to the heart of a matter and find the consensus, the solution, the
mm,
middle ground. Obviously, I don't shy away from a good debate, but I love the opportunity for two people to come together and maybe have some grievances and be able to work through that. And again, as I
mhm.
said, find that
Yeah,
middle ground.
yeah.
So I think because I enjoy service and people and I like speaking with people, I think that it's interesting how those skills were sort of woven into obviously
Yeah,
my career in broadcasting and then finding that they worked so well now
yeah.
in local politics and being a leader in my community. I've always had a heart for that volunteering and that service. And so I've been able to really, I think, utilize those skills to the nth degree now having served at the local level for 8 years. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. I think that there's something really undervalued about civil discourse. And
Yeah.
what you just described is this idea that really it's okay that we disagree. Let's just
Absolutely.
find the way that we can really and I think about collaborate as
Yeah.
collaborating. I'm not sure that collaborating is a third word, but whatever. So yeah, thank you for kind of putting the highlighter on that.
Have to get back to a place
Mhm.
where we can agree to
Yeah,
disagree respectfully, but it
absolutely.
doesn't mean that I've lost value
No.
or that you have, and that we can still find commonalities that
Yeah,
bring us together as people.
totally.
And usually, more times than not, we have more alike
Yeah.
than not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, this makes me kind of, you use the word bridge builder, and I
Mhm.
love that because I think about, we talked a little bit about your upbringing and a little bit about your early
Yeah.
career. So, building the bridge to today, there is, I'm sure, as you mentioned, all of us are people. And
Mhm.
there
Yeah.
is something I'm
Mhm.
sure that you have in common with the over 5,000 people that we will reach this year alone at Working Wardrobes. We are in the
Mhm.
business of helping people overcome barriers. And
Amazing.
and the bridges that we're building are
Yes.
from where they're at to where they're headed, their career goals. And many times it's not one or two things we're building a bridge over,
Right.
right? It's usually multiple. Sometimes it's, addressing mental health issues, housing insecurity, the basics first. And then we really focus in on the intellectual property. How do I prepare you with certifications, trainings, just a whole cadre of career readiness from coaching and discovering what the goal is.
Mhm.
Um, you mentioned like using these skills in broadcast journalism. Like,
Yeah.
who knew I was going to end up
No
there?
idea. Yeah.
Right. So sometimes that's a big process, that discovery process. But then also there is an iteration of really, I don't know what the right word is, but celebrating, owning, promoting our assets.
Yes.
That, sometimes we don't even realize that these skills that we have are assets in the marketplace, and we just don't think about it that way.
Mhm.
We're just
Mhm.
walking around being us.
Yep.
So,
Very true.
this is all sort of part of the package that we do to prepare people for the workforce. But like I said, everyone has something in common, and that is they are overcoming usually more than one barrier.
Yeah.
Would you mind being a little vulnerable and sharing with us what are maybe one or more of the barriers that you've overcome in your career?
I think at times it's easy to let self doubt creep in.
Totally.
And I think it's easy to allow maybe things that others have said, or ways that maybe you've been torn down a bit through your life, to creep into your head and to start to build a narrative that is not true at all. But it chips away at your confidence. And I think it's easy for us as females to think, I probably can't do that. Or, this looks really hard. Maybe I should just try to find an easier path. Unfortunately, the easier path a lot of times isn't the best path for us. It's through that fire and through those hardships that we
Mhm.
become the best version of ourselves.
Yeah.
And so I think for myself, I've had to realize that it's building confidence.
Mhm.
It's looking in the mirror and kind of reaffirming to yourself what other people are saying. If they're giving you those
Yeah.
positive comments
Mhm.
saying, you have worth, you're valuable,
Yeah.
you're talented, look at these things that you do, looking in the mirror and saying, I believe that too
Yeah.
in myself, and that it's okay to toot your own horn. I'm
Mhm.
terrible at doing that. I really am. And I have people say that all the time. Why didn't you tell them that you did that? Why didn't you tell them about this that you championed? Why
Yeah.
didn't you share that message that did XYZ? It's hard for me,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I want to balance that. I want to be a humble leader.
Mhm.
I want to help people, and I want to shine a light for others.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's okay to put the spotlight on ourselves once in a while.
Yeah.
And I think as women, that's hard to do sometimes.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think that's also where the mentorship and the networking and the friendships that we build through our life, we need to rely on those people.
Yeah.
If a bunch of people are telling you you're great, believe it. You're great.
Yeah. It's really true.
It is.
Oh, that's beautiful. One of my favorite yoga teachers always talks about like the way is through the obstacle.
I really
And
believe that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's true because and sort of the saying goes, right, that like the growth is on when we get uncomfortable, when we get in that place,
Mhm.
getting through that discomfort on the other side is the breakthrough,
It's
right?
true. And let's face it, whether it's been radio broadcasting or now being a elected leader, these are fairly male dominated
Yes,
places
definitely.
to be.
Yes,
And
definitely.
so as a female too, it's to make sure that I am saying to myself that I am worthy and valuable in this place and
Hmm.
time. I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
I have value and worth to give. I have a unique set of skills that deserve to be at this table. And it's just constantly, I think, speaking that over yourself and reminding yourself of your value and your worth. And
Hmm.
sometimes that is not always easy to do
For sure. For
for
sure.
women today.
Yeah.
And so those are just, I think, some of the obstacles. They're more
Mhm.
internal obstacles,
Yeah.
but sometimes we're our biggest stumbling block and our
Totally.
biggest hurdle. It's
Totally.
getting through our own mental state to
Yeah.
a place of confidence and saying, yes, I can do hard things.
Yes. Yes, you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Let's take a break and we will come right back with this episode of Rebuilding Careers with Council Member Stephanie Klopfenstein. Welcome back to Rebuilding Careers. It is my delight to be here today with Council Member Stephanie Klopfenstein. Thank you so much for,
Thank you.
yes, in sort of part one, you really shined the light on the unique way that women have to show up in in life and in the marketplace, if you will, and the struggle of wearing all the hats, and at the same time doubting our ability to wear them all,
Yeah,
and this idea that we really need to own our strengths
it's
and
true.
promote them,
Yeah,
let them be
absolutely.
known.
Yeah, definitely.
As we continue our conversation, I, of course, am focused on workforce readiness and thinking about how we help more people get through their obstacles
Hmm.
and to the other side where they're able to really contribute their unique abilities in the
Yeah.
world. Stephanie, if you had an event or a circumstance that required you to start over,
Mhm.
how would you approach rebuilding your career?
Oh my gosh, that's a very good question. I think this is where I would go back to and rely on the people that have helped me before.
Mhm.
I really feel that, and I mentioned this previously, it's that mentorship piece. It's finding those people that see your value and your worth and going to them and accepting and bringing in that reaffirmation,
Mhm.
and just asking for help. And sometimes that's hard.
It is. It's very
And
hard.
there have been times in my life where it's sort of I'm having to pivot, right? You're
Mhm.
pulling an audible. You're saying, this isn't working. I'm going to have to try to switch things up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's going to the people that can kind of pull you back up and say, okay, well, have you thought about this? Or have you tried this? Or
Yeah.
I know somebody that might be able to reconnect you
Sure.
down this avenue
Mhm.
instead. And that's hard to do,
Yeah.
especially when we are talking about conversations of confidence and self worth. And starting
Mhm.
over is scary.
It is.
But again, as we've mentioned, it's taking that harder road, that difficult path, as hard as it is. 9 times out of 10, what comes out of that are such true blessings,
Yeah.
such personal growth,
Yeah.
and really finding, I think, your true purpose,
Mm.
which we're all looking for, right?
Right. Right.
And so I really look back on those people that have mentored me and that I
Mhm.
know are firmly planted in my corner
Mhm.
and that I can trust.
Yeah.
And finding those people and relying on their skill set, their
Mhm.
expertise, has been very valuable, and I know has helped me greatly in my life when
Mhm.
I've needed to sort of change the direction, change the path. Let's face it, we all
Mhm.
have to do it in our
Mhm.
lives. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Isn't that interesting though that it's almost what you just described is almost what you described as in your early career, discovering your career in
Yeah.
broadcast
Yeah.
journalism, that this is the way is through these connections and relationships and really people wanting to uplift their fellow person. And
Yeah.
that is, you're describing it as really your network.
Yeah.
I think one of the agreed, the hardest things for me is to ask for help.
It's very
It's
difficult.
very vulnerable, it's
Yes.
very difficult, and I always, I think I lean too much on this sort of independent, paradigm that, like, I should be able to do it myself, and when I get away from or get through myself to the, "How can I connect with you? How can we achieve this together? How might I help you, you help me?" That it is always so much wiser, so much better than what I ever would have come up with on my own.
100%. And there's a lot of strength in our vulnerabilities.
Yeah, it's
Being
true.
vulnerable is hard.
Mhm,
It is scary. And
mhm,
especially, I think, as a woman.
mhm.
But there's times, though, when I say, I can't do this alone.
Yeah,
I need help.
yeah.
And I think the beauty that comes from that, the
Mhm.
people that then wrap around you and
Yeah.
show you how much they care and believe in you,
Yeah.
it by far uplifts
Yeah.
you and strengthens you.
Right?
And I think gives you a better pathway forward.
Yeah.
100%.
I think too, sometimes I think to myself, like, how do I feel when people ask me for help?
Yeah.
And that's my sort of, temperature, my gauge
Very
about
true.
everyone who asks me for help. I want to help. I want to do something,
Immediately, I want
right?
to step in and anything I can do. What can, yeah,
Yes.
true.
And then in my head, for some reason, I have convinced myself of this lie that if I ask someone else for help, that they're having a different response, but they're not.
Yeah.
This is really, I think, also the beauty about working wardrobes. In fact, right now we are building a relational database of people who are adults like you and me who are saying, I want to help. Here's the
That's
way,
amazing.
right? And
Yes.
here's the way. And the idea is that you can offer up, I'll do informational interviews. You can job shadow with me. I'll open my network to you. I can connect you with a fill in the blank, right? And the idea being that then our clients will be able to say, this is the door I need opened. This is the experience that I need to discover if that's a career for me, if that is an industry that I
Yes.
actually do like, if that's an occupation. They might find out that, yes, that's the path. Or equally important, no, that's
Right.
not the path.
Going a different way now. Right.
Yep.
But again, it's those relationships
Hmm.
and it's building
Yeah.
upon that and
Yeah.
finding those mentors and finding those
Hmm.
people in those different
Yeah.
key areas that can help you. And I think any of us that have had years of experience, whether it be in a profession or myself as a elected leader, we really owe it to ourselves and owe it to other women and in our local communities to give back
Yeah.
and to share what
Yeah.
we've learned.
Yeah.
Because for me, if I can share something with someone and it helps to put them down a path to success, or if it maybe just reaffirms or changes something to where they're able, I want to be able to do that for them. So I can't really, especially at this place in my life, I can't speak uh, more about mentorship and how incredibly important it is.
Yeah.
And I know that is such a foundational focus
Yeah.
for you here at Working Wardrobes. And I really
Totally.
appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Well, speaking of giving advice, if you could speak to your younger self, what advice would you give her?
I think I would trust the process a little bit more. I
Oh.
think I always have wanted my head to be wrapped around everything all the
Uh-huh.
time, and that's
Uh-huh.
just not possible in
Yeah.
life. We're not perfect.
No.
We're all seeking and
Mhm.
looking for different things.
Yeah.
I think I really would have prepared myself and reached out to more people for help earlier
Mm,
on. I
mm.
think if I'd sought out those mentors and if I'd taken maybe people's advice a little more to heart, not just
Mm.
always paving my own way and I'm going to do this myself, maybe I would have saved myself a little heartache along the way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think just to breathe,
Oh,
right?
right.
I just
Totally.
always so
Totally.
about everything, just
Right.
emotional and plugged in, and I've got it harder, faster,
Yeah.
and that's okay and that's good. You want passion, you want drive, you want focus, but sometimes just allow the process to work itself through and
Uh-huh.
things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
your vision of where you're going to go might not be what or how it ends up,
Sure.
but most of the time it's a good path and it's what's
Mhm.
best for you.
Mhm.
I never dreamed I'd be sitting here, but I'm so thankful that I am.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
this all of these things led up to
Yeah.
this, and I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for that, right?
Right.
And so it's
Yeah.
sort of stepping back and trying to look at that whole perspective. It's hard to do when you're in the middle of it.
Totally. Totally.
But find your people, find that tribe that can you can
Yeah.
wrap around you and help
Yeah.
you get to your goals. You
Yeah.
want to dream big, but also then plan and execute,
Right.
right? I
Absolutely.
mean, that's what
Absolutely.
we're trying to do. And I know that's what you
Yeah.
do here is
Yeah.
setting that platform up for women to be able to do just that.
I love that you use this word tribe because I think about all the people that we help in a year, that this is actually a word that we could use to describe ourselves. We always talk about the Working Wardrobes team as change makers, but I think
Yes.
it's really what you just said. It's a tribe that we are here to wrap around the youth, the seniors, the veterans, the justice impacted, the all people who are experiencing this moment, right? It's a moment of vulnerability. It's maybe we have faith, maybe we don't, that it's going to
Sure.
be okay.
Sure.
But either way, we've taken the brave step of saying, can you please help me? And
Yes.
finding that there is this network, this tribe
Oh,
of
there's so much
people,
beauty in that.
right?
That vulnerability and just say, I'm not okay right now. I
Yes.
will be,
Yeah.
but I need your help.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one of the bravest things anyone can say.
Right?
Yeah.
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 I think that this is really the reason I admire truly deeply admire so much the clients that we
Oh,
serve
it's
because
amazing.
I see, people. I'll never forget one of our clients. I met him for the first time in the lobby. I was just,
Uh-huh.
passing through to use the restroom, and he was waiting, but I wanted to make sure that he had been,
Right.
couched so far. So I
Sure.
just said, has someone been with you yet? And he said, oh yeah, I'm just waiting. And I said, okay, what's your name? And we just engaged really briefly, and I could feel in the beginning his like,
Mhm.
not like am I in trouble, but just
The
like
hesitancy
guarded and
started, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then, just over the course of maybe 1 or 2 minutes, like a little bit of coming down and letting the guard come down. And I think that for him, his name is Daniel, that I think that he has been judged so much and
Mm.
he has experienced so much, what I consider hatred in his life, that
Yeah.
that's what he has, been sort of trained to expect from people. And when he came in the doors of Working Wardrobes, all he experienced time after time after time with every member of our tribe was dignity and love and a compassion and
Acceptance, right?
totally,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, and he said it better than I'm going to say it, but he said basically that the way that he was treated here was the first time he felt like he was seen as a human and not
Wow.
as a number or a symbol of something else.
Wow.
Yeah. 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 So great admiration for the bravery of people to be vulnerable, ask for help, and to come into a place where there is love and
Yeah.
acceptance to receive it.
And I see that in my local community as well.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, people want a safe place to raise their
Totally.
families. And when they have an issue or concern, they're not necessarily expecting you to solve it overnight. They just want to be heard,
Totally.
right? I
Totally.
value you. I hear you. What you have to say is important. And can we work on a solution together?
Yep.
And so whether that's here at Working
Yeah.
Wardrobes or in my local community of Garden Grove,
Yeah.
there's a lot of commonalities there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. One of our stores, the Hanger, is in Garden
Yes,
Grove,
I
and
know.
it is our biggest store. And I think about the rainbow of life that we see at the store. And it is such a conglomeration of people who care about fashion or are
Right.
looking for a great value. They want to find something that is a sustainable purchase,
Yeah.
and knowing that those clothing purchases then fund our ability to help people achieve their career
It's
goals
wonderful.
is such a Disneyland twofer,
Yeah.
that I'm really proud of that, and I'm really proud that we're doing it in the city of
I
Garden
am
Grove.
thrilled that it's in Garden Grove. I think the need is
Mhm.
there. It's very successful store,
Yeah,
and I think people really enjoy it. I go in there a couple times. It's packed,
yeah, yeah. It's a
so
popular place.
it really is, and I think it's wonderful. We're very fortunate in Garden Grove. We have a lot of locations and business owners, and people always say our best clientele, our largest numbers. It's always the Garden Grove store. So our
Mm,
community loves to give back, and we love to support our local entrepreneurs and businesses and nonprofits in Garden Grove.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Before we part, which I'm not ready for because I'm enjoying you so much,
Thank you.
any parting words of wisdom for our listeners, our clients, the people who will hear this podcast?
I think again, I want to commend all of you for your bravery, and I just want you to remember that you're stronger than you think you are,
Mm,
and that inner strength will take you a long way. Find the people that say, "I see your value and your worth, and I'm
mm,
here to help you," and never look at that as weakness. That is your strength, and remember to look in the mirror and remind yourself of your bravery and of your strength, and I think that there's a path for you to great success. And when you find people like Working Wardrobes that are going to stand
mhm,
behind you, champion you, and help you find those career goals or whatever it is that you need in your life, it's truly incredible. And I know for myself, being able to mentor and help in my community is such a true blessing. And anything I can do to help people find their worth, their goals, their
mm.
passions, it's an honor. It truly is.
Yeah.
So I can't say enough about that, and I think it's just so important. And this is for everyone: men,
Mhm,
women,
mhm,
children, as you said,
mhm,
veterans,
mhm,
our unhoused community,
mhm.
whoever we can help. I think to who much is given, much is expected.
Yeah.
Right? I'm very blessed, and I want to make sure that I'm able to give back into my community. And again, I think I commend anyone that's willing to say, I need help.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a beautiful thing to say, and I think many blessings will come
Mhm.
after that for having realized that and taken those steps. So
Mm.
it's great.
May you, I, and all of our listeners accept the invitation into
Yes,
relationship that
yes,
is, as you said, uplifting for all.
agreed.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank
This has
you.
been our most recent episode of Rebuilding Careers. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.